Shalom Israel. For a start, I want to give all glory, honor and praises to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Wahara Kakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles in Israel who rule and teach well, to the Akim and Iris and Bibles and those pushing this word in truth, sincerity, to the brothers and sisters in the truth. Now what I want to touch is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. I'm going to read from 10 to 12, but the point that I want to cover is in verse 11. So it says, "And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause the Most High shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness." Now something that we normally bring out when we touch this verse 11, it says, "And for this cause the Most High shall send them strong delusion," is this word there, delusion. Now we'll go into the Strongs. It says delusion. Yeah, that is G4106.
Strong's G4106, Plane.
And that's how it's pronounced in the Greek. Now it says a wandering, a straying about, one led astray from the right way, roams hither and thither. It says mental straying. You know, other stuff, error, wrong opinion relative to morals or religion. Yeah, but it says straying about, one led astray from the right way, roams hither and thither, and mental strain. And so we'll come back now. 2 Thessalonians 2 and read verse 11 again. It says, "And for this cause the Most High shall send them strong delusion." Yeah, that's a mental strain, one that's roaming hither and thither. No, you're not being focused, and this is something which we need to be when we're in this truth. We need to be focused on this truth. Now, that don't mean you can't have downtime, but your main focus, you know, that the thing that we put our all into should be this truth, because we're actually fighting to reach a goal, to reach a prize. Now, when you type in let's do it again. Oh, select it. Come back. Yeah, select. You type in mental strain. Yeah, this is what comment says. What is an example of mind wandering? That's what a mental strain is. Your mind wandering. It says, for example, mind wandering in class means you miss out on what is being taught. Let's come back here. Select here. I want this one here. This is all starting to go funny now. Come back. Mind wandering. This is this one's gone all funny on me now. See if I can get back that page I had. No, I'll get it back like this. Give me a second. Post this back. Yeah, here we go. Oh, this ain't the one. Oh, you know what, Israel, Silaki for this. I just mocked up my page. This isn't giving me. Get it back. Mind wandering. See if I'll just read it from here. This was what it was. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So as I was saying, the mind wandering, this is something that we don't want to have when in this truth, you know, it can have catastrophic consequences. So this article here says the wandering mind, how the brain allows us to mentally wander off to another time and place. You know, the point I wanted was down here. It says what are the pros and cons of mind wandering? And the only way there can be a pro of mind wandering is when we are focusing on the spiritual aspect than the carnal aspect, you know. In Galatians it says walk in the spirit. Galatians 5:16 it says walk in the spirit and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. So we tend to be carnal people, you know, but we have to keep our mind focused on spiritual things, meaning what's written in the scriptures. These are the things we're meant to be focuses on. So if we're wandering away from carnal things onto spiritual things, that is a pro. But for the most part, you know, in this truth, we don't want to be wandering from the spiritual aspect into carnal ways. That would be a con in this instance. So it says, however, mind wandering can also have negative outcomes. And in this truth, if your mind strays away from this word, you know, it will have a negative outcome. It says, for example, mind wandering in class means you miss out on what is being taught. So if your mind is wandering away from this truth, you're missing out on the things that you should be focusing on. You know, it says, and mind wandering while doing your homework may result in mistakes. Yeah, now you start to fall back into sin. It says, taken to an extreme, people who are diagnosed with depression constantly engage in their own thoughts about their problems or other negative experience. And if you look at the traumas that our people have gone through, you know, we've gone through slavery, and there is a domino effect of that because we have never been healed, and it's this word that's going to heal us as a people. This is why we need to stay focused and not allow our mind to wander out of this truth. It says, in contrast, individuals diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactive disorder who continually change their focus of attention, see, and what did we read? Hither and thither. Quickly go back here. Yeah, you're constantly changing your focus. Yeah, you're not focused on any specific thing. It says a wandering, a straying about, one led astray from the right way, roams hither and thither. That's you constantly changing your focus. They're continually change their focus of attention, may have a hard time completing a task. Yeah, and if you're always, you know, 1 minute you're in the truth, then you start to look into Christianity, you start to look into Islam, you know, all of this thing is going to stray you away from the task at hand. Yeah, and we're trying to firstly get forgiven of sins and to obtain the kingdom. It says, taken together, whether mind wandering is good or bad depends on when we mind wander and what we mind wander about, which is true. So it goes back to what I was saying. If us being in the world normally focus on carnal things, you know, and we allow our minds to wander into this truth and keep it focused on the spiritual aspect, you know, on what is required of us in this truth, that's a good thing. But to be in this truth and then allow your mind to wander out of this truth back into worldly events and situations on a constant, because obviously, you know, sometimes we take downtime. You might play a computer game, you might go to the cinema, you might just link up with a friend and spend some time with your friend, but our focus is meant to be, you know, our way of life in this truth, us cleaning our garments, us learning how, you know, to walk in a way which is pleasing to the Most High. And this is Philippians 4 in verse 8. Like it says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. These are the things we're meant to keep our minds focused on. Yeah? On the spiritual aspect, on the way the Most High wants us to live, how to operate. That way we can reach where we're looking to go, which is the kingdom. You know, we can obtain what we're seeking, which is forgiveness of sins. Yeah? Proverbs 4 and verse 25 says, let thine eyes look right on, and let thy eyelids look straight before thee. So that's like an arse. You know, they got those blinkers on that keeps them focused. They're not worrying or concentrating on what's on the right side or what's on the left of them. You know, they're focused on the road ahead of them. This is what we have to be doing. It says, let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the path of thy feet. Yeah, if you're looking straight ahead, it's easier for you to ponder where you're going, to look where you're going. You know, you're not being mentally distracted from what's in front of you. It says, and let all thy ways be established. It says, turn not to the right hand or to the left. Remove thy foot from evil. And that's, see, lucky, one of the reasons why we go into that mental strain, because of evil. And that's in verse 10. It says, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Yeah, our people prefer lies, comfortable lies, than uncomfortable truth. Yeah, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 9. 1 Corinthians 9 and 24, it says, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run that ye may obtain. And that's what we're trying to do. Run that we may obtain the prize, Salakia, of this race that we're running. But to run a race, part of running a race is you being focused. Now watch this. This article here, podium runner. And that's what we're trying to do. Get on that podium, man, where we hear, well done, thou good and faithful servant. You know, thy sins are forgiven. Receive the kingdom that's been prepared. It says, stop your mind from wandering while racing. Now I'm just going to read a bit of this here, but it kind of ties in with the lesson. It says, a wandering mind is a kiss of death to your race. You hear that? It says, a wandering mind is a kiss of death to your race. Yeah, so if we don't keep ourselves focused whilst we're in this race, you know, it says it's the kiss of death, man. It says, let those middle miles slip by in a mental fog, and the body starts running on autopilot. As you tire, the pace starts to lag, and by the time you finally come to it's because you're about to get out kicked in that last 100 meters. And that's what we don't want. We don't want to be falling at the last hurdle. We don't want to be falling just before we reach the finishing line. And the best way to do that is to keep your mind focused. Don't let it wander too much. You know, try and reel in your thoughts. It says, even in a race as short as a mile, that middle 400 meter is where your mind wanders. And in a marathon, miles 13 to 20 hour, when many runners check out mentally. We don't want to be checking out. You know, people that check out in this truth, what happened? They fall back into the world because they weren't focused anymore on the path ahead of them. You know, they started to let their mind wander and stray back. Yes, I remember when I used to go dance, used to wind up with all them girls, or, you know, whatever it may be. You know, when I used to do all of this illegal stuff that we shouldn't be doing, and things that can make our minds wander and stray. Let me bring this up. This is Sirach. Salakia. Sirach. Chapter 2. In verse 1 it says, my son or daughter, thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thyself for temptation. Yeah, because there'll be many things which come our way which will try and make us stray from the path that we're on. So set thy heart aright, get your mind right, keep it focused. It says, and constantly endure. Constantly keep your mind focused on the path ahead, on the task at hand, and make not haste in times of trouble. That can make us stray back into old ways. You fall into little trial and tribulation. Could be a money thing. You think of what you used to do in the world. Now you remember, I remember my virgin man, I could always go to him and trust a thing, and now you want to go back down old paths. Your mind starts to stray from, constantly enduring, setting your heart aright, make not haste in times of trouble. It says, cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. And if we don't cleave unto the Most High, if we don't continue to keep ourselves focused, what will the Most High do? 2 Thessalonians 2:12. And Silake 11 says, and for this cause the Most High shall send them strong delusion. Well, he'll just give you that mental strain. He'll give you over to that mental strain. It says that they should believe a lie. Now you think that's the way you should go. That's the way to make that little extra change that you need to pay this bill or whatever bill, instead of striving it out and trusting the Most High to make something come your way, which he will do. It says, verse 12, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth. Yeah, you didn't believe that you should be thinking on, where is it, things that are just, honest, pure, lovely, good. Yeah, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things, man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Yeah, when we start to lean on our own understanding, that's when the mind starts to stray. That's when we start to go off. And then the Most High will do up. And for this cause the Most High shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. You start to now believe, this is what I should be doing. You might even be prospering in that thing, not realizing that that's going to be your downfall because you're not doing the right things. It says that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. And so, we have to keep ourselves focused, man. It says, this article again says that attention lapse is precious time. Yeah, that attention lapse could be the kiss of death in your race. It says, and places, now instead of you receiving that prize, getting on that podium, hearing, well done my good and faithful servant, you're hearing, depart from me, I knew thee not, lost from your performance. Staying present in a race is more than just cycling the legs over from the start to finish. So staying present in this truth, you have to be diligent, you have to be focused. It's not here today, then tomorrow you're off into something else. That Christian mindset, I'm saved now just because I believe in Yahweh Shai. No, it's a process, man. The scripture says, he that endureth to the end of the race, the same shall be saved. It says it's staying mentally focused, conscious of your competition, and checking in with your body cues. That's you examining yourself. So it's just something I want to touch. This verse here been coming up in my mind quite often of late. So I'm going to read it again. It says 2 Thessalonians 2:10, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, they prefer to give themselves over to the lust of the flesh than focusing and striving to walk in the spirit, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And that's what will happen, man. If we don't keep ourselves focused, we won't be saved. And for this cause the Most High shall send them strong delusion. He'll give you over to a mental straying. You're going hither and thither. That they should believe a lie. It says that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. So this is just a lesson for brothers and sisters to stay focused, man. Keep on that path. Don't let nothing take you away from the goal at hand. Hopefully the lesson was edifying. With that, I'm going to close out. I'm going to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Waharakah Kadash. Allah.